Mr. Damale, let's bring you into this conversation. You are a PPP consultant, and tell us how you have been able to collaborate with the Federal Ministry of Housing, in providing houses for Nigerians.
Okay, thank you. Just like the Honourable Minister has mentioned, the government realized very early on that the private sector needs to play a critical role in the delivery of housing for Nigerians, and that's why the private sector were able to mobilize very serious-minded, large-scale developers. Because the real issue here is when you look at the rental cost of rent, the real factor driving up rent is the lack of housing.
Yes.
That's within close proximity to the cities. So for us, developers had to come, apply to the ministry. We went through a normal process. And through that process now, we are talking about the Renewed Hope Cities, which is delivering 1,000 units in all 6 geopolitical zones and the FCT. And the more cities you create that in that manner would also lead to driving down the cost of rent, lowering the commute time between major cities and the various offices that these people work, Nigerians work. So for us, it's been cutting the red tape, ensuring easy access to facilitating land, cutting all the red tape that have to do with the approval process, ensure that we're able to get from titling to groundbreaking to construction in record time. Okay. All these are factors that cost a lot of money if developers were to embark on this venture on their own. But through the intervention of the Ministry of Housing, we've seen that time drop significantly, and then becomes more encouraging for the private sector to participate. And if you look at what the Honourable Minister has said, 70 billion vis-a-vis what the ministry's budget is, very soon we're going to see a trend where the private sector will even take a more prominent role in terms of taking leadership, ensuring that we can mobilize twice the capital that the annual budget can actually prepare for, so that Nigerians, and that's the real issue, if we don't have private sector investments in housing, there is no way we can drive down the housing deficits. The government has too many priorities in education, in health, to provide houses, which is a very capital-intensive program. So the private sector now coming in is a very significant difference that we've seen from what the previous administration housing policies used to look like. 70 billion is by no feet small in terms of the value, but it's still a drop in the ocean compared to where we need to get to in terms of providing houses for Nigerians.
We've seen so many policies from the Tinubu administration. How has it impacted the public-private partnership when it comes to housing?
Well, honestly, we are quite very encouraged by what we've seen. A number of them which we can roll out here. I mean, first, to typically think of how much a house will cost, given the escalating cost of items, that is also being brought under control through the intervention of the ministry, through engagement with stakeholders, and the building manufacturers hub that will be set up is a PPP relationship. The Federal Mortgage Bank has moved up its mortgage, the cap on its mortgage from 15 million to 50 million. That's a significant step. We've also seen the Murphy Real Estate Investment Fund, a 250 billion fund, which 150 billion came from the federal government and 100 billion from the private sector, making 250 to provide mortgages to Nigerians at 12%. Now that's another collaboration that you would see that would help Nigerians help own their own homes. So with this kind of initiatives, we're seeing both the demand and the supply side being catered for. In the past, what you typically see is focus on one side of the aisle, which is, okay, let's put houses into the market. And that's what leads to so many vacant houses, because the supply side is not there, or you see it vis-a-vis the other way around, where you have a lot of houses on ground, but nobody has the capital to actually acquire those houses. So this initiative being driven, this PPP is not just playing on the demand side only, on the supply side only. They're also playing on the demand side, where private sector has mobilized 100 billion to support mortgages for Nigerians at 12% over the next 25 to 30 years. So you can see this holistic approach is the real way we need to tackle the housing crisis.